Hi, my name is Jamie Williams. I'm a professional beauty educator, and this is my model, Trina. How many times have you heard, oh, I'm obsessed with contouring. I love all these beautiful eyeshadow looks, but I only have 15 to 20 minutes in the morning to execute those looks. Hear it all the time. What I'm going to do today is teach you how to do a beautiful highlight and contour and an eyeshadow technique that's really natural on the lid, but smoked out just a little bit on the corners, and a gorgeous new lip, but I'm going to do it in less than 20 minutes. So contouring, such a trend. Everybody wants a contour right now. There's various ways. You can do it with powders, creams, sticks, eyeshadows. So many different ways you could do it, but it's very important to pick a way that's going to get you out the door. Creams tend to take a lot of times because you have to blend them and really mesh them into the foundation. So what I'm going to use today is just two eyeshadows. I'm going to do a dark eyeshadow. This one is actually like a really pretty chocolate brown. And I'm going to do my highlighter. It's pretty much close to a yogurt, vanilla yogurt color. I started with Trina's complexion. We already did her foundation. If you notice, her blush is already done as well. Blush to me is always a central part of complexion. After I do foundation, I always add blush. So that's why her blush is done already. So what we're going to do really is just focus on highlight and contour. The first step you need to work on when you're doing any type of highlight and contouring is you need to identify your face shape. This is where people tend to get lost. Face shape is essential because if you're watching a YouTube tutorial and you love it and you go to apply it on your face and it doesn't look the same, 9 times out of 10, you're watching somebody with a completely different face shape than you have. Trina, we identified, has a heart-shaped face. The way I figured this out, it sounds super corny and cheesy, but it's a fail-proof method. If you draw a face shape around your model's face, if they fit perfectly within that, that's what they are. If they don't, they're not that face shape. So I just did a square around Trina, doesn't fit. If I do a heart, voila, she fits perfectly within that. So she has a heart-shaped face. The whole purpose of a heart-shaped face is they tend to be wider around the temples, around the forehead, and then they start to go in really tiny and have a nice pretty pointed chin, just like a beautiful heart would. So what we're going to do is really focus on is bringing the width down with contour. I'm going to highlight wherever I place the dark. I'm going to bring my highlight right next to that and then really feel for the bone structure to bring in my contour. Let's begin. So first, my brush. I have a very small flat eyeshadow brush. A lot of times people do big brushes, but a lot of times that goes completely outside of the bone structure. So I'm going to use the belly of the brush. I'm holding close to the ferrule and I'm coming right on top of Trina's bones. So we identify face shape first. Second, feel for that bone. And you're just working against that. So I'm right on top of Trina's natural bone structure. That's telling me exactly where I need to place my highlight. I'm going in very long strokes. If you notice, my wrist is extremely controlled. If I was moving my wrist a lot, then I would be getting more motion, and that in turn will make my makeup application round, or I will be adjusting length. So if you really control your wrist, your brush is going to actually work exactly where you want it to go. So I'm now going to bring this next to Trina's nose, almost like in a V motion. Now this is something you see done quite often on a lot of different celebrities because usually light hits strictly in this focal point and then it kind of bounces off and you can see this really nice natural highlight. But the reason why I'm doing this for Trina is because remember, this is the widest part of a heart-shaped face. So we're going to bring contour all through there. So we're going to need something to balance out all the width that we're going to chop off. So now I'm going to go into the other side and do exactly what I did on the left side on the right. Long strokes right on top of her natural cheekbone going into the temple. And you could see immediately what a difference this is. You can really see her bone structure start to pop out. Now this could be done the same motion with a cream or a liquid in the same shade, but you would always have to go back and set it with a powder that's the same color. So that's why I always say liquids and creams tend to take a lot longer. Often women are like, I have 6 children, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I have 5 minutes in the day, but YouTube told me to use creams to contour. Well, I'm like, well, God bless you, but you're gonna have no time for that. So grab a powder and get going. I'm going to go in the center of her face, because if you notice, Trina, her brow space and her eyes are not really close set, but they're more close than they're further apart. So I'm using the highlight to open up the middle of her brow space going into her forehead. And this is just going to give us, once again, more symmetry to the face. Now I'm coming right directly under her lip. This is exactly where the sun will hit the face naturally too, and I'm placing the highlight. What I'm now going to do, tissue, clean off my brush, and now we're going to go into the dark. So once again, I'm using just a very dark eyeshadow, kind of like a hot chocolate color, I would say. Now, instead of holding close, because dark shadows have so much pigment, unlike the highlight, I'm going to pull further back on my brush. So that way you're not going to get this huge intensity of color. I'm going to now fill for Trina's cheekbones. I feel her bone is right there. I'm going to go right underneath her natural bone structure. So I'm starting way back at her ear, and I'm slowly letting my brush just stop off. When that happens, my brush is stopping exactly where her bone stops, and that lets me know I'm in the money spot. If I were to keep this going all the way to her mouth or scoop my hand in like a hook motion, which you see all the time, that will turn into more theatrical or aging makeup, so you don't want to do that. Next, I'm coming up through her temple space, because remember, widest part, we need to bring this down. So I'm stopping exactly where we highlighted her face naturally. Now I'm going to go behind Trina's ear, and I'm coming right on her jawbone. Now Trina's jaw is actually really great, and it's nice and structured, so I don't need to do anything heavy or super intense on that part. I'm just going to emphasize it a little bit. Now I'm coming to this side, right under her bone. You feel that bone. You're going to go right underneath there. I'm midway at my brush, just so I can sculpt. So you want to think of your brush like a scalpel when you're first doing this motion. After I clean my brush off, I come back further, and then I can blend it. Once again, I'm going to kind of lift up Trina, her beautiful side bang here, and bring my dark right in that temple space where we place the highlight to close down the widest part of that face. And you can see instantly when we pull this in, this part sticks out a little bit more. So I'm going to come behind the ear, shave this off, add structure, and we're good to go. Now I'm going to switch to a blush brush for my blending. This blush brush is completely clean. So what I'm going to do, if Trina can turn her face slightly to the side, you can see our beautiful and highlight and contour. It's so gorgeous. But I'm going to take the top of my line and blend it up into the blush, and it's slowly kissing the highlight that we place. This way, we keep our point of intensity here. We don't stop that beautiful structure that we've created, but we blend it without seeing lines. I'm going to have you turn this way, and I'm going to pop up. Once again, top of my line, fading this into the blush and the highlight. Then I take the bottom of the line, pressing downwards, holding close to the ferrule because I really want to manipulate that product against the jawbone. I sweep it. And now we're going to go back into blush just to pop out our colors and make it look more natural. This is a pretty almost apricot color, and I'm going to go in a figure 8 motion, and this is just going to tie in our highlight and our contour, and we're ready for eyes and lips, and we are out the door. So as you can see, that didn't take long at all, much quicker than what most people think. Balance out your face shape, play with your structure, feel for your bones, know your face shape, you're good to go. So now we've completed our beautiful highlight and contour super, super quick. I think that was like 8 minutes. So that just shows you how quick you can get out the door. Next, we're going to do a beautiful eye and a lip. Now, sometimes you don't always have to go straight to your eyes to achieve the look that you want and then do the lips. In our mind, we always think our lips should be last. I'm actually going to do the lip first because I already know that I want to do a really pretty nude lip. So I actually am using an angle brush, just like you would use for your eyebrows. I like using angle brushes on the lips a lot of times because it allows me to really shape and add structure to the lip. And this is a nude that I made with just some clear gloss and concealer. For deep skin, it's hard to find a really pretty nude because a lot of times it can have too many different tints inside of it, which a tint is any color adding white. So a lot of times things will turn too gray. So I use just natural concealer tones and it's going to give a really pretty nude effect. I'm going in with my chocolate lip liner and I'm just shaping the lip, but I'm going to blend this into our nude lip that we created. Now I'm going in a downward motion on the lip area at the bottom, and this is going to add structure. But when I do the top of the lip, I always do my lines going up. This creates volume naturally to the lip without having to overdraw it. Now, if you want to overdraw the lip, you absolutely can. That's a personal preference. Trina has great lips. We really don't need to do that. I just want to get it on there. Now I'm going to go back into my beautiful concoction I made with more of the gloss, and I'm just going to layer on some more clear so you can really get that pop. So you really want a nice nude lip to really have its own character, because a lot of times nude lips, although beautiful, can tend to be quite boring and quite flat. So you really just want it to have character that you can see. Now, let's do some eyes. Time to do some eyes. So what I'm going to do is a beautiful natural smoky eye to go with our beautiful makeup. So I'm going to focus on a light, a medium, and a dark shade right on the lid, and in the corners I'm going to do my point of intensity, of course. I'm going to mix like a beautiful Merlot brown with some black to really pop out the fullness, and we're good to go. So I'm going to start with an eyeshadow base. I'm using an aqua shadow stick. This is equivalent to any makeup primer, but what's great about this is it's going to add color, a very pretty, almost like a apricot gold color, but it's also going to allow us to create a smooth surface and prevent any type of creasing. Now you can use any eyeshadow primer of your choice that you choose to use for this part. But a lot of times, if you're doing a smoky eye, for example, I'll actually use like a really dark, like even a dip brow, for example. I will use the darkest color as a primer on the lid. It's just going to give me the base for smoky eyes, so I can get out the door a lot quicker. So don't necessarily just buy things that say eyeshadow primer and get stuck to that. Think about the look that you're trying to achieve and use something that's going to help get you there a lot quicker. So I laid this down from the inside corner to the outside, stopping right at the crease. I take my ring finger and just blend it out a little bit because it is a cream texture, and we're good to go. Now, the first color I'm going to start with is, it's like a peachy, kind of like a peachy pink color. I'm going to hold my brush vertical, upside down, and I'm just tapping my first shade all over the lid. So we really want the natural eye to pop out. And this is a matte color. We are going to add shimmer at the end, but I always like to start with my mattes first. And the great thing is, not just because mattes tend to be really popular, but if anybody has any type of texture to the eyes, wrinkles, or anything that you're trying to smooth out, matte textures are always going to work a lot better. They're always going to allow you to have the smoothest surface that you could possibly think of. Now my brush is pretty tapered and it's very flat. It's not a very hairy brush, for lack of better words. It's pretty similar to a concealer brush. So if you notice, I prefer to use a lot of small brushes that aren't as fluffy because you're going to get more precision with your eye makeup. Now, same type of brush, same brush. I'm going to take that color and go underneath. Look up for me. So everything on this look that I do to the top of the eye, I'm going to do to the bottom of Trina's eye as well, because we're going to create almost like a gradient effect from the bottom to the top. Next, I'm coming in with a pure pink. It's almost close to a baby pink. And I'm going to put this right in the center of the lid, right on the eyeball area. And this is going to really, once again, make the color that we laid down first really pop out and show itself. I'm using a tapered brush Once again, nothing fluffy, and I'm pressing. So I get a good amount of product on my brush and I just press it. So that way you can really, really see what you're doing. I'm going into the inner rim of the eye now, and I'm almost carving in her natural eye socket a nice, beautiful shape. You can really see that color pop now. Next is one of my favorite colors. It's a beautiful Merlot brown color. Open, please. And with Trina's eyes open, I'm going to go on the outside of the eye, and I'm going to work my way in an inward motion. Long strokes. Once again, not a fluffy brush, just a long motion. And this is going to pick up the eye and create our first point of intensity. The last, we will do the black. This brush is a tapered, pointy brush. Almost looks like a long pencil, but it allows me to put the product exactly in the socket without going outside of her natural bone structure. Tissue in my hand, I'm going to wipe off, and I'm coming underneath the eye with that same color. Look up for me. Right underneath the lower lash line, I'm placing our beautiful eyeshadow color. We have one more color to add, folks, or two more. Our shimmer, I forgot, and our black, and we will be finished. But you can see already, this makes such a beautiful difference to Trina's eyes. Now I'm going to put the shimmer before I add the black. I'm going to put this on the inner corner of the eye. Close for me. From the inner corner, stopping right at my center. Shimmer is always good to add towards the end. Now it's a big difference between shimmer and frost. Always remember, you could play with shimmer for as long as you possibly want to. Frost is one thing that there is a restriction on time limit, so be very careful when you get into the frosty land. All right, now we're going to add our black. So with our black, I'm going to take a brush that's pointy at the end, and I'm just going to bring it right here on the outer corners. And I'm going in a V shape. So before I blend it, I'm going to place it in on both sides so I can check my intensity and see if I like my angle, and then I blend. So a lot of mistakes that people make is that they tend to blend with every single step when they're trying to achieve a perfect eyeshadow application. You can blend right at the end, and it's actually going to save you a lot of time. Look up for me. So I'm going right underneath with my black. Remember, everything we're doing at the top, we're doing at the bottom. So pretty on her. Right in the corner. So I'm not taking my black all the way over, just right on the outside edges. Up again. And I keep checking in the mirror so I can make sure that my intensity is exactly where I need to. I think I like it. Now, this is when our fluffy brush comes into place. So if you notice, this is the only time you see me grab a fluffy brush. And it's completely clean. And I'm moving my black from the outside corner all the way to the inside. And we have a blended eye and a beautiful makeup application. Now, if you wanted to, you could pop on a lash if you have a little bit more time throughout the day. Or just leave it with mascara. Completely up to you. I'm going to add a little bit of eyeliner right on the top of the lash line to really intensify our application. Eyeliner on the top on this side. Any excess, I just dust it off. And I think Trina is ready to go. Thank you for enjoying this time. Thank you for learning with me.